Who knew that drinking just plain water slowly throughout the day makes you feel good? Everything can change in a matter of moments. Everything I had hoped for the year was falling apart around me. Like, you would think I'd have just watched Marley and Me, the amount I was crying. So I'm going to share with you how I've got here. How have I and what have I done to make a really, really bad year feel a little bit easier? So I am the comparison queen. I've muted friends before, and by muting, that is like one of the best ways to prioritize yourself, in my opinion. When I've looked at something and I felt jealous, and then I've understood why I felt jealous, I've instantly had a different reaction to that person. I've almost like gentle parented myself this year. You're gonna hate me for saying this. I hate New Year, New Me. I'm going to bed feeling like I've achieved something, which I wasn't even having like one day a week like that in 2023. I could look back on last year and think I didn't achieve anything. I didn't achieve anything. One of the most instrumental things to help me start this year with a fresh start is how I have turned a pretty shitty year into a very, very good year. You are listening to A Conversation with Erin. With me, Erin. Obviously, I uploaded a video last week, or podcast, should I say, with my mom. So make sure you go check it out if you haven't seen it. But this is my first solo episode in months. It's been a couple of months, I'll be honest with you all. Yeah, the last 5 months have been a lot. But happy new year. I haven't said that yet, I haven't had a chance to say that yet. It's never too late to wish you all a happy new year. How are you all doing? I hope you had a gorgeous holidays, and I also hope you're enjoying January. I'm loving January. I normally hate it, and I know lots of people hate it, and it feels like the longest month ever. And it's like, I think there's something called Blue Monday, and it's January is normally the worst. Like, I'll be honest, like, I'm a January hater. However, I'm loving it, which is weird because I've also nearly ended up in hospital this month. Like, I've been very severely unwell in January, but like, it hit the second week of January and there was a turn, and it's a turning point that we will talk about. But yeah, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And I think like I've got this new routine, which I will share with you later, and it's very, very relevant. And I think that's definitely helping my mindset on things. So, do you know what? Who knows? I might be a converted January lover, because right now I'm loving it. And we've still got a couple of weeks to go. I've also, if you're watching this, you can see that I've got a Stanley Cup dupe. I am obsessed with it. I'm drinking 2 litres of water without question every day. Now, I've always been a fluid drinker. Obviously, you drink fluids. I've always consumed lots of fluids. I've always been like fluids 3 litres a day. But it's been fluids of like Diet Coke, squash, tea, coffee, not just pure water, like plain water. Now, I'm not going to lie, that's not plain water, but I do squeeze half a lemon in it, just so it tastes nice. A squash is a treat now. And it means I'm not like guzzling it, because I would like guzzle it back and then I'd be bloated and I'd feel awful. But like, who knew that drinking just plain water slowly throughout the day makes you feel good? I think that's a life hack. It might be a life hack that's common knowledge, but it's my new life hack. It's what I'm swearing by. So it's been a few months since we've had a catch up, hasn't it? And I'm not going to give you all the boring details. If you care that much, you can go on my TikTok, because I share everything on TikTok. Erin Baker _. It's been a really, really tough few months, and a really, really tough last 6 months of 2023. And I think to get a full picture of what we're going to be speaking about today, we should probably go back a year to January 2023. So in January 2023, I had such a set idea of what my year was going to look like. And this year, I don't have that. And I think it's because I'm very hyper aware that everything can change in a matter of moments, and not for the better always. Which is why today we are talking about how the shittiest year, excuse my language, can actually be one of the best things to happen to you. And you can take so many positives from such a bad year. And actually, you can look back on a supposed shitty year and say, do you know what? That was actually quite good. Like, that was good for me. You might think now, Erin, you're insane. Like, how can I turn like the worst thing to ever happen to me into a positive? Obviously, there's exceptions. I will say that now. It's not one size fits all. But by the end of the episode, I hope that you can take something from this that makes your shitty years a little bit easier. So going back to January 2023, I had a very, very clear plan of what my year was going to look like. I was graduating that year, so I knew the first few months I was going to be doing my dissertation and getting the last little bits of uni work out the way. But I was also in the process of getting placed in a camp to do Camp America. So my plan was spend months studying and working to earn money, and then May, my 21st birthday, have a party, have some fun, and then by June I'll be in America for 3 months, travelling, doing Camp America, and then come home, work for a bit, and then go off travelling again for winter. That was my plan. When you have a plan, sometimes the universe laughs at you. And it laughs at you because it knows that there's a reason that plan shouldn't happen. Long story short, by the beginning of March, I'm now not going to Camp America. There's been a major mess up with me being placed in a camp. A camp basically lied to me and told me they'd given me a place when they hadn't, and I hadn't been applying for... It was a whole ordeal. Like, it's fine now, I don't really care. But I had this camp, and then all of a sudden I wasn't placed in a camp, and it was kind of too late to get put in a camp that I wanted to be put in. I'm now not going to Camp America. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. A week later, no joke, a week later that I find out I'm not going to Camp America anymore, I'm pooing blood. I'm in a really bad flare. This has happened overnight. I haven't been in a flare for 3 years. I've been in remission. All of a sudden, I'm severely unwell with Crohn's. In my head, I was like, right, they'll like up my azathioprine. It's not that straightforward. I'm on the highest dose of azathioprine my body can take because I'm such a small human weeny little being. I cannot consume any more azathioprine. So quickly, everything I'd hoped for the year was falling apart around me, and I was in this state of complete loss of control. I had just got my mental health in order. I was so excited for this year to be my year. And within 2 months, this year is already looking like it's very much not my year. And I feel like I'm like not even a duck. I don't even look calm on the surface. Like, I'm just in a state of, I don't even really remember it. I think I'm in a state of panic of like, I don't really know what to do now or where to go. And it was kind of just then a process of trying to get my health back, which then is become a lot more complex than we thought, because 9 months later I'm still not well. And me realising, okay, now I'm not going to Camp America. What am I supposed to be doing with my life after uni? A few weeks after I started to pass blood and lots of poo again, my nan got really sick, and we spent nearly 2 months having, well, pretty much just unsure if she was going to die or live. Her health was, she was so poorly. I said goodbye to her. We was ready like for her not to be here. And then by a miracle, because she's literally the toughest person in the world, like she's just so bloody strong, she's okay and she's with us now, which is just amazing. But there was 2 months of just not knowing if she was going to live. She wouldn't even be able to look at you. She wouldn't be able to acknowledge you. She didn't know you was there. She was completely a shell. She didn't eat. We spoke about end of life care. Like, it was a really tough couple of months. And that would have taken me through going to America. So it meant that I'd have been leaving my family in a very, very tough situation. I'd be leaving my nan. I'd have said goodbye to my nan, and I wouldn't have been able to go to her funeral, because at that time we thought she was going to die. I couldn't have imagined going to Camp America and having supposedly what should have been the summer of my life with my nan so severely unwell. And if I had gone to Camp America, my health would have deteriorated anyway, and I'd have either ended up in hospital in America on my own, or I'd have had to come home early, and probably both. So when I look at it like that, there was a reason that my year wasn't the year that I wanted it to be. It just wasn't meant to be. And that's okay. Now, it doesn't make the year any better. It doesn't make the year any easier. However, looking at it now, I can kind of see why that didn't happen. A year, like me in February finding out I wasn't now going to be able to go to Camp America, I was devastated, absolutely, utterly heartbroken. But a few months down the line, it becomes clear as to why that has happened. And actually, is it such a bad thing? I can take so many positives from a lot of negatives that have happened last year. Last year was really tough. Obviously, we nearly lost Nan. That was heartbreaking. Like, one of the hardest moments of my life was having to say goodbye to her. It was horrendous. Like, she didn't know we were there. And yeah, that feeling that will never pass me. I'll never be able to be okay about that, of course. Like, who is? But positive has even come from that. Like, I know I can do that. So all of my other grandparents I haven't said goodbye to, because for some of them I haven't been able to, and obviously it's a privilege to be able to say goodbye to a loved one, because I haven't had that privilege before. I could have had it with one of my grandparents, my granddad, but I was only 15 and he was in an induced coma for a week, so he looked a lot different, and it is just not something that I wanted to experience. And I had the option, but I wanted to remember him as like the last time I saw him in hospital, when he was well and upbeat and we were laughing. With my nan, I spent days, well, not days, I say a couple of days, going over in my head of like, do I actually want to see her and say goodbye? Do I not want to? And I decided that I did. And I'm so glad I made that decision, because now I know if I get that privilege again in the future, I will 100% jump at it, because it's one of the hardest things you have to do, but it's one of the most special things. And the fact that I have that now, and she's still here, makes it even more special. So yeah, so saying goodbye to my nan was like horrendous, but I now know I have that strength in me to do that. And actually that moment is so beautiful and special. I can't explain it unless you've been there, like you understand. So I know I can do that now, and I will do that in the future. And I think that is such a gift that she has given me, and it's such a gift that I've been given to know that and to have had that experience. And the fact that she is still here is even more of a gift. So again, a massive positive come out of one of the worst moments of the year. And my nan has bounced back like you wouldn't be. Like, she's better even before she got poorly. Like, I don't know how. So my nan has dementia. She's got vascular dementia, and she's mute, so she doesn't really speak. She can say like yes, no. She can sometimes say our names. She can say the odd word, but she can't string words together to form a sentence. And if she does, it's like a rarity, and it's normally done out of some form of like intense emotion. But she's very much there. She's very with it. She knows what we're saying. She can converse with us in other ways, because obviously just because you're non-verbal doesn't mean that you can't communicate. You can. She's had like dementia for like 10 years, but she's still switched on. She's more switched on than me, I'll give her that. Like, she's switched on. Nothing gets past Joyce. She's managed to bounce back and be even better than before, which is just, that in itself is like a massive positive. But it's also made me appreciate her so much more. And my grandparents, like, and obviously I've lost 3, but my grandparents are literally my whole heart and soul. They're my being. Like, they had such an instrumental part of my upbringing and who I am now and who I continue and carry myself to be. I think even though I've lost 3 of them, and I know how important it is to appreciate your loved ones, you do get stagnant because of COVID, and also with uni, I'd have months without seeing Nan, and I'd go really long times, and obviously that can't be helped if I'm at uni and stuff, but now I'm home constantly. It's given me kind of the kick up the arse to be like, you need to be there, be present. And also, when you have a non-verbal person in your life, it can sometimes be hard to know how to communicate with them, especially when you know that they understand what you're saying. It's not like a child, like she's my nan. Like, there were points in my life, not much in my life unfortunately, because she become poorly when I was 8. There was points in my life where she would be the authoritarian to me. Like, she would be the one that was looking after me. I don't know how it's done this, like my nan nearly passing away, but it's given me this ability to, it's given me a different connection with her that I haven't had before. And I'm able to, I have more confidence in communicating with her. And I'm not ashamed to say that I was nervous around her before. Because, not nervous, but I would be wary of what I was saying, or I wasn't necessarily relaxing in the moment, and it breaks my heart because she's my nan and I love her to pieces. But even just being in the care home, I always felt on edge. And maybe it comes also with maturity and with age, but I feel like I can communicate with her, I can converse with her, I can look out for her, and also communicate with the other residents in the home. I feel like I've got a different connection with her, I've got a different appreciation for her, but also I feel like I have grown personally in my ability to be a really good granddaughter. And that is something that, and honestly, I'm not an angel. Like, I don't go there every single week. Like, obviously somebody does, like my mum is there like every single week, but it's an absolute gift. Like, I'm so lucky to have had that opportunity to reevaluate and go, do you know what? Not many people get this second chance, and we've been given it, and I'm going to grasp it with both hands and take it and live it and inhale it and consume it. And that's what I'm doing. And that's an incredible positive. I have a newfound appreciation for my health and my illness, which I know is a little bit of a contradiction. So obviously, I'm going to appreciate my health more because I miss it. I miss being healthy. And it's so easy to take that for granted. And obviously, I definitely did. But I also have a new appreciation for what goes on to help, both with the NHS, to help people with IBD get better, but also for people that are going through IBD every day. I have a newfound appreciation for us. I think when you're in remission for so long, you forget. And also, when I was first diagnosed, I was poorly, for quite a long time, but I quickly got into remission. I haven't had until the last 9 months such a long time of being, I've never been unwell this long with Crohn's, and been unwell with such a roller coaster of, this medication's working, oh no, now it's not, oh no, my health's actually got worse because of that medication, and this massive spiral of like continually just deteriorating. I haven't had that before, and I haven't had the uncertainty of whether medications will work. And I think by having that, I'm so grateful, because it's shown me actually how, I thought it was difficult, obviously, but I didn't realise how tough it can be. I just didn't have any appreciation for how tough it can be and is on people. And the fact that I've been given that, obviously, it's not ideal that I'm unwell. Of course it's not. And it's not ideal that I've spent, most of last year and half of a month of this year being so unwell. But the appreciation it's given me, I think I will carry through the rest of my life, whether I continue to be in remission or whether I go into another flare, whatever that looks like for me. I don't think this appreciation will go away, which has also helped me to create my own community on TikTok. And it's also given me that like boost again to want to raise awareness for IBD. I lost that. I lost the passion for raising awareness for this and, showing people what the day-to-day life is like of somebody with chronic illness and standing up for people with chronic illness. I lost that passion because I think because of my mental health as well, it like, you obviously lose a lot of your passions, don't you? But obviously as well, when you're well, it kind of just slips, like that feeling, that need to do that. And I think I found that again, and that's not something that I'm going to lose. I'm going to try my hardest to keep it however I can, and you know, to keep light in that and to keep fighting. And I think it's so exciting, the fact that I can share this stuff again. I got over a big fear, steroids. Like I said earlier, I hate pred. Well, I did hate pred, and when I found out a couple of weeks ago that I was going to have to go back on pred, my TikTok will be down below. There's a video of me sobbing like you wouldn't believe. Like, you would think I'd have just watched Marley and Me, the amount I was crying, because I had to go back on steroids. And I'm on them, and I'm okay, and I'm happy, and I feel the wellest I've felt in 9 months. I'm still not well. I'm still nowhere near where I need to be, but I feel the best I've felt in 9 months, and I will take that. And that's because of steroids. And do you know what? And if you told me a couple of weeks ago that I would be on steroids and I would be happy, I would have laughed in your face and told you to get out my house. But I can believe you now because I'm here, and it's great. The last year has taught me how important it is to live presently and live in the moment and not take for granted anything. And don't get me wrong, in 6 months I'll be taking things for granted again. I still take things for granted. Like, it's so hard to not take things for granted, and I almost think it's impossible, because there's so many things that we should be appreciative of that all of us take for granted, no matter what our circumstance is. Like, even if it is just the fact that you have 3 meals a day, like, some people can even have one, and that's something you take for granted. But like, it's hard to be so appreciative of everything and not take everything for granted until you're in a situation where you're like, oh. But I've definitely learnt, because I've been forced to live more presently and not live in the what ifs of my future, because I haven't known. My future has been and is still so uncertain. So there's nothing I can do but live for the moment, because I can't live in the future. Like, because my health is so uncertain at the minute, I can't even think about jobs. I can't think about what I'm going to be doing at the end of the year. I can't plan a holiday. I cannot do anything right now for my future, but I can do lots of things for myself, and living in the moment is one of them. And doing things that make me feel content for right now is one of them. And that will in turn help me in the future, because for one, I think I'm healing. For two, I think I am doing certain things with like TikTok and stuff like that and social media for future me. However, those are all things that are helping me live more presently. I am somebody who spends my life living in my future. And always have been. I've always been so focused on what's tomorrow going to bring, what's a few months going to look like, what's this going to look like, blah, 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 future. And actually, by taking a step back, because I've been forced to, because of my ill health, I'm learning to live presently, and it's great. I feel so zen. It's lovely. However, you don't just naturally feel positive about a really bad year. This hasn't just come to me to be like, oh, I'm so happy that I've been pooing blood for 9 months and my nan nearly died and my plans to travel went out the window and now I don't know what I'm doing with my life and I'm so behind everyone because I haven't even had full-time employment yet and I'm 21 and I'm living off my parents in my childhood bedroom without a boyfriend and with one friend. When you say it like that, it feels a lot, it feels heavy. And when you're living it, it feels a lot, it feels heavy. However, I have managed to find so many positives from that last year. It doesn't feel that negative. So I'm going to share with you how I've got here. How have I and what have I done to make a really, really bad year feel a little bit easier? Because I promise you, it's possible. So the first one is very obvious, but it's mindset. Mindset is key. I think to do any of this, your mindset needs to shift even just slightly. It just needs to, I'm afraid. Allow yourself to feel bad. Like, allow yourself to have a day on the sofa crying if you need to. Allow yourself to like be angry and punch a pillow. But don't wallow in any of that negative all-consuming emotion, because then it just becomes a spiral. Like, allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to have those moments, but don't let it consume you. And I think the thing I've done the most last year, to stop it consuming me is in the moment feeling. I would bottle up. I'm such a bottle up, what I was. And I would bottle all this emotion, and I'd need to cry, but I'd bury it. And then it would explode out of me and consume me, and then I'd wallow. But by allowing myself each day to have whatever emotions arise, allow them to come up. If I need to go to a bathroom and just cry because it's not appropriate to cry at work, that's okay. And do you know what? It makes you feel 10 times better. You've released that emotion. You're not holding on to it anymore. It's not yours to keep hold of. It's gone. And I'm not consumed by any negative feeling. I might not feel happy, but I don't feel sad or angry anymore. I just feel okay. Like I've said, take an appreciation in the smallest things. Even if it's the fact that you can turn on a light. Even if it's the sky's blue. Even if it's that there's a really pretty cloud in the sky, or I have clean water. If you can't find appreciation in other things like a book you read, or a meal you've eaten, or something your mum has said to you, or a lovely piece of writing you've seen on social media, or whatever you might take appreciation in, if you can't take appreciation in anything like sentimental, start with little things, and they can be as basic as I used hot water to wash my face this morning, or I washed my face this morning. And that's something that can be appreciated because it's a privilege to be able to do that. And then slowly but surely, if you do this day, like every single day, when you find yourself doing something, you're like, oh, I really appreciate that. You have to at the start really consciously check in, but it soon will become subconscious quite quickly as well, like within a couple of weeks. You're able to then start taking appreciation in the bigger things, and it then slowly does snowball into, actually, this is a really bad thing, but I can actually take positives from it. And even if you're going through your life and you're not having a particularly hard time, start doing this. This is such a good skill to have, and it's the thing that's helped me the most. By having a skill of being able to turn negatives into a positive, not toxic positivity, that's something completely different, because there are allowed to be negative things. There are allowed to be things that are just negative. We don't need to find positives in everything. However, if we can turn a negative situation into a positive, amazing. If we can feel negative about a situation, but then in turn all of those negative feelings into positive actions, amazing. So by slowly implementing, just even if you're having a good day, like things that you appreciate out that day, it will then snowball into being able to have a really negative situation and not solely focusing on the negatives. You'll be able to focus on some positives, and just by having that skill, it makes those situations so much more bearable. They're still going to hurt, and they're still going to sting, and they're still going to feel like a knife's been stabbed in your heart and twisted a million times. But you may potentially be able to take one little positive, and that will make that situation so much more bearable. This isn't going to be for everyone, but I do genuinely believe what is meant for me will find me. And when the time is right, I believe in divine timing 100%. And when the time is right, it will happen. And divine timing isn't ideal because sometimes you want things when you want them, but the world doesn't work like that. And I do believe if something isn't meant for you, then it's just not going to happen. Like, I genuinely believe I was supposed to be at home, living presently, healing, doing not a lot last year, because it's given me so much. And if I was in Camp America and running around the world, I would not have had them moments to live presently. I would not have a newfound relationship with my nan. Like, not a newfound, but like a new connection with my nan. I would potentially have had to been on the other side of the world, being very, very poorly. So things happen for a reason. I believe that 100%. And if I hadn't have got poorly, I wouldn't have been posting about it on TikTok, and I have so many messages of people saying I've helped them, and that is just amazing. But I wouldn't have done that if all of those things hadn't lined up. So I think, it's not going to be for everyone, but for me it helps. Telling myself what's meant to be will be, what's not meant to be is not mine. And I leave that up to the universe. Avoiding comparison has been instrumental. So obviously I was very, very upset when I found out I wasn't going to Camp America, especially when I was really, really unwell as well. When I feel like I'm really behind everyone else, it's not helping my mood and it's not benefiting me at all, because I do feel behind. So avoiding comparison has really helped me to find the positives, because I think when I'm comparing, all I can think about is negatives, and they're always negatives about myself. And then it creates jealousy, and I don't like jealousy. I don't like feeling jealous. I don't like envy. I think competition's good, but jealousy isn't. And I'm definitely somebody who suffers with jealousy. I've always found myself to get jealous of other people, because it comes from me not feeling good enough, and it's something I work really, really hard on. So it's something that I try to avoid triggering myself with. So I am the comparison queen. So when I found myself comparing negatively and looking like, well, she's going to Camp America, I would either on TikTok just do not interested, or I would mute people, or I would block them. And this might seem harsh. I actually don't think I blocked anyone. I think I muted or just pressed not interested or unfollowed. And that was when I found triggering of jealousy feelings. I would just not interested on mute, or I'd come off the app and have a little breather and sit with that feeling and then go, okay, and then go back on. And I've muted friends before. I don't think I have any friends muted now, because I'm in a much different place mentally. But I have muted friends. Because I don't want to unfollow people, because that just feels nasty, and I'm not friends with them. It's just sometimes they're living a life that I really want, and that's not possible for me right now, so I'm just going to mute them. They don't need to know that. And it doesn't mean I'm not being supportive of them. Great for them, but sometimes you've got to prioritize yourself first. And by muting, that is one of the best ways to prioritize yourself, in my opinion, if you spend a lot of time on social media. Obviously, the best thing to do is not spend time on social media, but that's not going to happen. Who are we kidding? It's not going to happen. And I found that because I was actively trying to avoid getting jealous, so I was more aware of when I was feeling jealous, with social media and stuff like that, I've been able to understand my triggers. And then by understanding my triggers, I've been able to therefore learn where the jealousy comes from and why does that trigger me. And I've been able to almost do some therapy and some inner work just by noticing jealousy, because I wanted to stop comparing myself. And such a small thing has helped me so much. I have so much more understanding, and I'm still learning about my experience with jealousy and why I'm jealous and what are those feelings. And when I've looked at something and I felt jealous, and then I've understood why I felt jealous, I've instantly had a different reaction to that person. So a person might have come up and she might have been a really beautiful girl, and she might have had the perfect body and a really lovely boyfriend and be really, really sweet and nice. And then I'd get a pang of oh, she's a bitch. And then I'd realise that that's a jealous feeling. I'd go, well, why am I jealous right now? Why am I feeling those things? Okay, she's not a bitch. She's who I want to be. That's okay. And I'm not that, and that's absolutely fine. And honestly, it's literally worked like that. It's crazy, and I'm really proud of myself actually for how much progress I've made on my jealousy this last year. So proud of myself, because I don't really have those feelings towards girls at all anymore. But still, seeing the travelling stuff, last week? Because obviously everyone's in Australia at the minute, aren't they? It's travel season in Australia, and that's my dream, to go travelling in Australia. And obviously, because I'm injecting myself, even though I'm on a different sort of medication and I'm having infusions, it's still similar to what I was on before. I will struggle to travel for long periods of time. It doesn't mean that it won't happen, but it's obviously more difficult. For like, my life is less free than it would be when I was on tablets. And something come up of, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Romana Bright. Is it Romana Bright? Lydia Bright from Towie, her sister, because she's moved to Australia. And her Instagram come off my feed. I don't even follow her, and she's like, oh my god, she's gorgeous. She's living like my dream life. And it come up, and honestly, I just burst into tears. And I just allowed myself to cry. I spoke to my mum, and then I felt okay. I didn't feel the need to mute her, or I allowed myself to feel that. And it wasn't jealousy. It was just, I'm sad that that's not my life right now. And I'm sad that it might not be able to be my life. And then I allowed myself to feel those things. I talked to my mum about it, and I felt fine. And that's so much more progress to being like, I can't even see it. Like, seeing it is making me so upset. To, I can see it and I can consume that content now, but every now and then it does sting a little bit. But that's because it's in a moment when I'm maybe more tired, or I'm going through a tough time, which I was at that point. And, you know, this year hasn't been easy on me, so I've been trying to be gentle on myself and approach. I've almost like gentle parented myself this year. It's what it feels like. You're gonna hate me for saying this. Journaling. I know. All I talk to you about is journaling. Mind dumping, and this isn't even necessarily journaling with journal prompts, but literally just putting everything that's in my mind down has helped so much. It's really helped me. I found that that's my preferred way of releasing things that I'm withholding in me, is like just writing them down. So completely subconsciously, just put my pen to paper and just writing. And it literally feels like I'm going through my brain and deleting loads of files that don't need to be there and that aren't serving me and are just giving me negative vibes. It's so good. Like, so good. And it might not work for you, but it really, really works for me, and has really, really helped me to not dwell on the negatives and be consumed by the negatives in my brain. Because sometimes I think your brain can feel like quite a dark place, especially if you're going through a lot. And by dumping it down on a piece of paper, it just feels like I'm almost giving it to somebody else. That's how it feels like. It feels like I'm like, okay, that's not mine anymore. I'm like done with that. And it doesn't mean that I'm not dealing with it, because I still feel like I've felt the emotions and I've worked with them, and I'm still continuing to work on them, but they just feel less heavy and less of a burden. And that makes the little things more bearable and the bigger things more bearable. It just makes everything feel a lot more easier. It does sometimes feel like you need to talk to somebody, and not everyone can afford therapy. I'm not in therapy anymore. I can't afford it. So it's a way of like dumping stuff without worrying about burdening people as well, because then I sometimes find I like brain dump on my mum, and then I'm like, oh my god, I've just burdened her. Even though she never makes me feel like that, and I shouldn't feel like that because I know she wants me to talk to her, it still can come up in your mind. You're like, oh, I don't want to burden that person with that. So this way you're literally not burdening anyone, because it's a notebook, and you can set it afire, you can keep it, like, do whatever you want with it. Like, I sometimes burn mine, I sometimes rip them up, I sometimes leave them. Depends how I'm feeling in that moment. I sometimes like scribble, like, you know, when you're like really angry over the top of it all. Like, I just do whatever I need to do in that moment, but like, I don't think about it, I just do it. You can learn so much about yourself as well with journaling. Like, a lot of the things I've learned with my jealousy triggers have been done through journaling. I think when you get into the habit of journaling, it becomes easier to go deep, and it feels more natural to then go deep, because I think sometimes at first it feels very like you're thinking about what you're about to put down, but over time it just naturally comes out. Like this conversation we're having now, I'm not overly thinking what I'm about to say, I'm just speaking, and that's what then journaling become for me. And yeah, it is literally like you can learn so much about yourself. You can learn about your triggers, you can almost give yourself therapy. And I think when you're going through a really hard time, it almost is like a friend, and If you're not sure where to start, you can search journal prompts on Google for whatever you're going through. So if you're grieving, journal prompts for grief. If you feel a loss of something, journal prompts for loss. Journal prompts for not feeling good enough. Journal prompts for self-love. Journal prompts for blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't always need to be negative. It can sometimes be positive things. And it really helps you to grow. Really helps you to grow as a person. Starting afresh has really helped me. I've definitely seen this new year as like, I don't like the whole new year, new me. I hate new year, new me. Hate it, despise it. The worst phrase in the world. It brings pressure, it brings demand, it brings intensity, it brings a feeling of like you're not good enough. Each year you're not good enough, you've not been good enough, you need to be better, you need to do more, you need to do better this year, put pressure on yourself, work harder, do harder. Don't know what do harder is. Look better. Like it's so much pressure. I hate new year, new me. But I am seeing this year as a fresh start. I'm seeing this year with I'm coming into this year with a lot of hope. I'm coming into this year with a new mindset and a new attitude to the way I'm living. And that feels very special. And it's not even about the new year. The new year was just a good time to start that. And I think this has helped me to feel ready for, I guess, to move on. I don't know if move's on the right word, but it just feels fresh. And it doesn't mean that I'm forgetting last year or I'm leaving it behind me. I don't feel burdened by last year. I feel like, fresh start. I think one of the most instrumental things to help me start this year with a fresh start is like I've started a whole new routine, and I think this has helped me to be so much more positive. Like I was already quite a positive person, but literally every day I feel so accomplished. I've never felt like this before in my life. Like I've never gone to bed each day and felt accomplished. I've always gone to bed and felt like I should have done more, or I was procrastinating, or I was being lazy, or very hard on myself. And I'm just going to share with you my routine every day, some of the things I'm doing. So the first thing I'm doing in the morning is listening to affirmations. I put affirmations on when I go downstairs. I go downstairs, I make myself a cup of coffee, come back up, affirmations are on. And then I will at some point in my morning, like within the first hour, also do a visualization meditation, and I haven't been on the only reason I've gone on my phone at this point is to get the stuff up on YouTube. I haven't gone on my phone. The visualization meditation is great because it helps me really visualize who I want to be. And I do feel like it's working. I do feel like I'm becoming who I want to be. And that's amazing. That's incredible. My mum bought me a gratitude journal for Christmas. It was in my Christmas Eve box. I've been filling that out religiously. I have not missed a day. And that I think is key. It's the first thing I do. So even before I listen to my affirmations, I write gratitudes down. I don't remember because it's so like I'm still like half asleep when I do them, what my gratitudes are. And then in the evening every day, I finish filling out the journal, finishing off with gratitudes. So gratitudes are like the first thing I do and the last thing I do in a day, which I think is really setting my positive attitude up for the day, which is then helping me to be more productive and to feel more accomplished. Even if I'm not climbing mountains in a day, even if I'm doing the simplest tasks, I'm doing them with purpose and enjoyment and love. And I think that is what is making me feel accomplished. Is like how I'm feeling doing them. I'm not feeling, I have to. I'm like, okay, cool, I get to do this. And it's just changing my mindset and my attitude towards things. I am reading every day. In the evening, normally, sit there, read just 10 pages, like maximum. But I'm spending the time that I would have spent doom scrolling, reading, and I really think it's helping me escape. I think social media, I love social media. Of course I love social media, but it's consuming. And reading has really helped I feel more creative. I feel like I have like half hour a day where I'm just away from the world. I don't know, I can't, it's just, I love reading anyway, but I lost it for a lot of years. Not a lot of years, like, I don't know, like, I would be the last, I'll say 5 years, I've been in and out of reading. But I'm very keen on keeping reading consistently in my life because, so I'm making sure I'm reading as well, which again is making me feel accomplished, because when I've read, even if it's just 10 pages, I feel like, I've done that, like I've achieved that. It gives me a sense of, it almost gives me a bit of confidence, and I want to improve my reading ability because I can read, like I'm obviously a good reader, but I want to be able to read quicker and feel like I'm taking in more of the book, because I do find like when I first started reading this year, I've already read a book this year, which is very like rare for me. It normally takes me months. I felt like I wasn't really taking any of it in, so I feel like I'm actually taking stuff in now. I'm making sure I'm getting out every day as well, like fresh air, even if it's for 10 minutes. Getting my steps in, doing a hot girl walk, listening to a podcast. Again, just escaping, just staring at a screen or being cooped up inside. I'm saying hello to people on my walks. I'm like, morning, afternoon. Like, interacting with people, and that makes me so happy. It just makes me feel good. See, all of these things are things that make me feel good. I'm having breakfast later, so I would get up and have breakfast first thing, and it would make me feel quite sluggish the rest of the morning. But I find having breakfast after I've done like my morning routine and everything that I need to do and like worked out and stuff, so like I'm having breakfast around 10, half 10, I find, I don't know, it doesn't make me feel as sluggish. Like, I'm not sure what the science is behind that. I'm not sure why, but I find having breakfast later is actually helping me to feel more motivated. So yeah, so like those are like the main things. Oh, and stretching, because I want to be more flexible, but that's like not really relevant. So those are the things I've been making sure I've implemented in my life, like every single day consistently. I've done it since the 1st of January, and I'm going to continue to do that. And I've found I'm going to bed feeling accomplished because of this. And I think it's because even if I'm only doing them in a day, I feel like I've achieved something, because I'm doing things that I've set out an intention to do. And I decided to do those things because they're all small things that I do every single day that go towards a larger end of year goal. So every single day I'm doing something for me for the 1st of January on 2025. For example, with the books, I want to read 12 books this year. I want to read a book a month. So reading at least 10 pages a day is giving me, like, it's chipping off a little bit to reach that end goal. And by doing things like that, I'm feeling like I'm doing something for future me. I'm doing something for present me. And it's amazing. With the affirmations and the meditation, therefore future, because I know they help, and I know that they do help you manifest. I do believe that I am going to get to where I want to be. And they are helping me get there. And they're also in the moment making me feel really good and really present and really confident and happy. And by doing those little accomplishments every single day is helping me feel more confident and feeling like I can do this and I can do that, and I've achieved something today. Even if, like I said, I've not climbed a mountain, I still feel I'm going to bed feeling like I've achieved something, which was, I wasn't even having like one day a week like that in 2023. I think I'm also in a state of acceptance. I think I've accepted the fact that I'm back on steroids, and I've accepted my health and yada yada yada, all of that. Like, I've accepted that. But I mean, I'm in a state of acceptance of what I want from my life. I don't want a conventional 9-to-5 job. No, I could be saying this and people are rolling their eyes at me, but I don't want that from my life. I don't want to fall into the, you start work at 21, you buy a house and you work until you die type of life. That's not for me. It doesn't mean I won't ever do that, but right now that's not what I would like for my life. And I think I finally accepted the fact that I do want to make content. I do want to create a safe space on the internet for people to feel seen and heard and listened to and understood and comfortable and safe. And I would love that to be a platform that I've created. I want to raise awareness for IBD. I want to raise awareness for mental health. I want to be an advocate for people. And I finally reached a state of acceptance. I was so embarrassed about that before. I'm not embarrassed to say that now. I'm not embarrassed to say that I want to make content online. I'm not embarrassed to say that I would love to earn my income and my living through making content online. I used to be so embarrassed of that, and I'm just not anymore. I'm not embarrassed of what people are going to think of me for that, because it doesn't change me who I am as a person. It's one of my dreams, it's one of my ambitions, it's something I'm working towards. And I think I used to be embarrassed by saying that because I was worried it wouldn't happen, but it might not happen, but it might. And if it does, how amazing the fact that I've gone after something that I've wanted. And if it doesn't happen but I've still tried, at least I've tried. And I think having that acceptance of that, and I used to be like, think like, oh, like, why can't I just want to do a normal job? Like, why can't I just, like, my best friend, right? She's amazing. She's a paramedic, and she's always wanted to do it. So she's gone to uni, she's done it, she's now a paramedic. Like, so, and obviously it's not as straightforward as that. Like, she's worked really bloody hard and works harder than I could even imagine. But she's gone after what she wants, which is amazing, and I love that. But because it's a more conventional job, it's an incredible job, and I think she's an absolute hero, and I tell her all the time, and like, I'm so inspired by her, because she's like, oh yeah, I want to be a paramedic. Nobody's ever laughed at her for that. Whereas when I used to say, oh yeah, like, I want to be famous, or I want to like be like a YouTuber, I'd get laughed at and then made to feel like that was impossible for me. So I've had to like unlearn all of those like feelings of embarrassment of not being conventional enough to be like, actually it's okay to want those things. It's okay to have like aspirations and to go after your ambition and to go after things that you want out of your life, and to be ambitious and to reach for the stars. It's okay to do that. It's exciting to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think I'm finally at a point where I'm like okay with living like that. I'm not holding on to what I didn't achieve last year. I could look back on last year and think I didn't achieve anything. I didn't achieve anything. And that's not the case. I've experienced a lot of stagnancy the last 3 years. However, I have achieved things. I've got a degree. Like, if you're looking at like on paper what I've achieved, I've got a degree. But I've achieved a lot more emotionally. I had 2 really horrendous years of my mental health. I was very, very unwell mentally, and then the last year I've been very, very unwell physically, and that creates a certain level of feeling stagnant and feeling like you're just kind of existing and you're not living, which is difficult. It's tough, I'm not gonna lie. Like, not making the memories I wanted to make and not experiencing the things I wanted to experience. And I do feel like I've lost my youth. I feel like I lost like the key teenage years to like go out and live life. I feel like I've lost them, and that does create a sense of stagnancy of where I thought I would be and could be. But I can, with this change in mindset, I can look at it and go, I have learnt so much. I have been taught so much. I have grown so much as a person, emotionally, spiritually. I have grown so much. I'm a completely different person now, but in the best possible way. I feel like so many good things has come out of who I am now because of the things I went through the last 3 years, and I can use all of that to better support other people and to be a better person myself and to help other people grow and to grow myself. Like, it's given me this I almost feel like it's given me this opportunity that I've grown from, and I can continue to grow from. I can be a better person. I can be a better friend, a better family member. I can be a better neighbour, a better person walking down the street. I can just be better because of it in so many ways, and most of them are ways that you can't measure. So yes, I might feel stagnant because I haven't achieved a lot in terms of numbers or measurements or jobs or any of those things, but when you look emotionally, I've achieved so much, and that is something that I'm so proud of. So yes, looking last year, and if you look at the conventional things, I didn't achieve that much. like I graduated and I did quite well in my essays, but I didn't achieve loads, and the 2 years prior to that is exactly the same. However, if you look more unconventionally in terms of my emotional growth and how far I've come and how much I've learned, I've achieved so much, and I have so much to be proud of, and that is so much more important to me as a person. And yeah, like, great. So actually, I have achieved a lot. It just might not be conventional. I am motivated every day to be the best person I can be. So not the best person I can be comparing myself. I want to be the best person every single day that I can be that day. I'm not comparing myself to yesterday. I'm not comparing myself to tomorrow, future me. I'm not comparing myself to me a year ago. I'm not comparing myself to anybody but me that day. What I mean by this is every single day looks different. Your energy levels look different. Your health looks different each day. One day you might feel okay, one day you might not. What happens to you that day looks different. Your experiences with other people each day is different. Your mental health each day is different for no apparent reason. There are lots of things that can happen in a day that change how productive you are in that day. And that's okay. And you know what? If I wake up one day and the only thing I can achieve that day is finishing a series on Netflix, great. Love that for me. I am going to do that, and I'm going to be motivated to do that the best way I can. And how I'm going to do that the best way I can is by sitting there binge watching Netflix and not making myself feel guilty for it when I go to bed that night. I'm going to be okay that that's all I could do in that day. And do you know what? The next day, if I'm able to run 5k, do a gym workout, tick off all my to-dos, do 6 hours of work, batch cook for the next year, then amazing. Great. I'm going to be proud of myself that I got a lot of that done. And I did it because I knew I could, and I wasn't pushing myself too hard. And I'm going to go to bed happy. And then the next day, if I wake up again and go, do you know what? I'm really sad today. Or I think the only thing I can manage is a 10-minute walk and come home and then do some baking. And then I come home and I go to do the baking and I can't do the baking because I'm still too sad. So all I can do is sit on the sofa and watch TV. Then I've done the best I can that day. And that's what I mean by I'm motivated to be the best version of myself each day, because that will look different for me every single day. And I've come to accept that, and I've come to accept that I can't predict how I'm going to feel each day, physically, mentally. And obviously, this is going to depend because people work 9 to 5s, and you might not be able to just sit on the sofa all day and cry. But if you go to work and you're not getting everything done, or you're making little mistakes, don't beat yourself up. You're doing the best you can, and that's amazing. As long as you're doing the best you can with what you're given that day, that's all that you should be worried about. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to anyone else. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to yourself. And I'm holding myself accountable for being the best, most productive version of myself. So yeah, like today I have my full day planned out. I've got lots to do, but I feel like I can get that done today. So I'm not pushing myself to do any of that. I'm not working too hard to do any of that. They're all things that are doable in a day, but they're all things I've woke up this morning, I feel good, I feel motivated, I feel mentally and physically well, so I feel like I can get them done. Whereas if I woke up this morning and I didn't feel well, and I'd still had made myself do all of them, I probably wouldn't have got all of them done, and I'd have gone to bed feeling really bad about it and really bad about myself. So I'm holding myself accountable to be the best version of myself and to be motivated and to do the best I can. But I'm not pushing myself, because holding yourself accountable and putting pressure on yourself are two completely different things. And putting pressure on yourself, personally, I don't think is that useful for me anyway. It just makes me end up feeling bad about myself. It might work, but it doesn't make me feel good. Like, I might put pressure on myself and get things done, but then I just feel awful about it, instead of holding myself accountable and doing it when I feel like I can. And then I feel like, do you know what? I've done that. I've achieved that. I've wanted to do that. I've chosen to do that. That feels amazing. So that is how I have turned a pretty shitty year into a very, very good year. I look back on last year and I've learned so much. I've grown so much. I'm so happy that the year turned out as it did. And I know that sounds weird, but I'm really happy with it. Obviously, it would be ideal if it looked different and how I wanted it and imagined it in my head to look like and romanticized it to look like, but it didn't, and I'm so okay with that. By having that mindset, I can go into this year feeling really excited and happy and confident and proud and motivated and renewed, and that's just amazing. So amazing. And I can also go into this year without having a plan. I don't have any plan for this year. I don't know what this year's going to look like at all, and feel okay with that. Last year that would have freaked me out, but this year I feel like it's okay. I don't know what my life's going to look like in 2 months, but I'm okay with that. I don't have much choice. So I'm actually weekly vlogging, so make sure you check out my YouTube channel. I'll link everything below, my TikToks, my social medias. So let's quickly do our 3 gratitudes. Very grateful for mine and Albie's walk. It was very chilly, but it was lovely. Blue skies, sun's out, great. I'm grateful for the fact that I've got this film because it means I can spend the rest of my day editing the vlogs. And I'm very grateful for my Stanley dupe. I love this. I'm obsessed with it. What are you grateful for? Let me know. My hope for the future is that I get to do all the editing that I need to get done today. But if I don't, that's okay. No pressure. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Sending you all so much love. I hope if you had a really bad year this year, this has made you feel a little bit more positive, or even if you had a bad day, I hope that you can take something from this that is going to help you in the future. I love you all so much. So much. Love you all so much. See you next week. And bye. Oh, if you have any questions or anything you want to see, let me know, and I will always take into consideration any requests. Bye guys.